DLC or downloadable content has long been a source of controversy in the gaming industry, perhaps most infamously associated with horse armor for Oblivion. Publishers have justified this as a means of covering development costs, but we then had on-disc DLC, games which felt incomplete since content was cut out and locked behind a paywall, series mainstay fighting game characters becoming DLC, cosmetic skins, season passes where you did not know what you were getting, games as a service employing free-to-play tactics to psychologically manipulate players, and most recently, loot boxes and blind packs that trigger the same areas of the brain as gambling does. It is perhaps not my place to prattle on about this. I'll leave it to a certain British gentleman with red tinted glasses, but one aspect which I love about indie games is the level of support and updates that developers continue to push, all for the low price of free, which makes this the curious case of free content DLC for indie games. The award-winning Metroidvania Hollow Knight by Team Cherry is one of the more recent examples of this phenomenon. After a successful Kickstarter campaign in 2014, the game was finally out on Steam in February 2017 and garnered praise for its hand-drawn art, the sense of atmosphere and world building, and of course the challenging combat. Right off the bat, the developers made it known that they were planning 3 free DLC to add content to the game, which was a nice touch since you knew that you would be getting a little something extra down the line. The Hidden Dreams update was released in August 2017, adding 2 new bosses, a new ability and a new fast travel point. The second update, titled The Cream Troop, was released in October 2017, which was more extensive with major quest lines, new boss fights, and new charms which serves as upgrade options in the game. Then, as a surprise add-on, the Lifeblood patch or mini DLC dropped in April this year, with mostly optimization and balancing changes, but it did add a new boss fight and mapping enhancements. This was followed by the Switch release in June, then the Godmaster DLC in August, which again was pretty major, with 7 new boss fights, new quest lines, new areas to explore, new mechanics, a challenge mode for all previous boss fights, a new game mode, and even enhanced endings. A fitting conclusion to a brilliant game, and there are even rumours of an alternate playable character in the pipelines. Unsurprisingly, Hollow Knight has done tremendously well, selling over 1 million copies, and that is excluding PS4 and Xbox One sales, with the complete package titled Hollow Knight Void Heart Edition released in September 2018. Lovely example of a fantastic indie game which did make my top 10 indie games of the year list in 2017. Slime Sun by Fabras is another awesome title which I played at launch in April 2017 and has only gotten bigger and better since then. A Twitch platformer drawing comparisons to Super Meat Boy, I really enjoyed the challenging and fun platforming with a unique art style and interesting mechanics. Since then, the developers have been very busy, putting out the free Blackbird's Kraken DLC in July 2017, which added a new campaign with 25 levels and 25 New Game Plus levels, more challenges, more mechanics like a submarine, new story sequences, new characters, and even secrets. Next, in February 2018, the Sheeples sequel DLC pack dropped, with again 20 regular levels and 20 New Game Plus levels, new stage hazards, a new boss fight, a new hub area, more indie character cameos, and new gameplay styles as well. In July, this was upgraded to the Super Slime Edition with new levels and a new playstyle, and also coincided with the console release. Finally, just announced in August, was that the game would be getting a level editor so that you can create and share your own levels, which should be out pretty soon.
Legends tell of an impregnable fortress, and in its depths lies a weapon of immeasurable power, a gun that can kill the past.
Next, Enter the Gungeon by Dodge Roll is one of the finest examples of the top-down roguelite and is my personal favourite in the genre at the moment. First released in 2016, the developers are one of the most active and supportive teams that I have seen, with a whopping 41 update announcements on Steam as of recording, mainly to do with patches, to balance the game and to fix bugs. The supply drop update in January 2017 added 200 plus new room layouts, 33 new guns and items, 7 new enemies, and 4 new bosses, with the standout example in my opinion being the Mind Flayer, itself a play on the Mind Flayer from D&D, which Enter the Gungeon is known to riff on with bosses such as the Beholster. Earlier this year in July, in perhaps one of the most fitting updates, we had the Advanced Gungeons and Dragons DLC, which refined the original experience. Hundreds of new rooms, new enemies, bosses, guns, items, and 500 plus examples of a new system titled Synergies, which resulted in special effects if you happen to have certain pairs of items and so on, adding even more to an already fantastic game. Dodge Roll is a developer that is a little more secretive with their update schedule and roadmap, so I'm not too sure what is next, but for a $15 game, they have already gone above and beyond.
Enter the Gungeon.
Slime Rancher by Monomi Park was my personal indie game of the year last year, since I really love the slimes and the rewards from simply exploring the far range. A compelling gameplay loop where you venture forth, discover and capture new slimes, bring them back, put them in pens, feed them and sell their plots for upgrades. I really liked the super chill and cute atmosphere. This game first started out in early access, so the updates and patches were to be expected to a certain extent, but the developers have a frequently updated roadmap on features yet to come. First launched in early access in 2016, Monomi Park added new areas like the Indigo Quarry and the Moss Blanket, each with little snippets of story, as well as new slimes and items. Crystal Slimes were added in October 2016, followed by the very significant Slime Science update in November, since that allowed you to build gadgets from blueprints, which were in-world quality of life improvements such as teleporters that allowed you to get to certain areas much more quickly. The Ancient Ruins update was added in March 2017, enhancements to your home base and the capturing of giant slimes was added in April 2017, followed by the Glass Desert area in June, and finally the 1.0 launch in August 2017. However, the developers have continued to add and iterate, such as including the much requested map feature after launch, adding the new Ogden's Wilds area in October 2017, and adding a seasonal event with decorative ornaments in December 2017. We then had the Mochi Megabucks update in March this year, adding the Quicksilver slime and more interactions with the NPC Mochi, a storage update in April, the introduction of the Party Gordo in May that allowed you to obtain the previously seasonal ornaments once a week, and finally, the automatic update in July, which added super cute drones to automate jobs around the ranch. In the works are further optimization of the game, adding a free VR playground mode, Victor's experimental upgrade, which looks to add new gadgets and the glitch slime, and of course more planned updates for the future, which is a secret at the moment. One more example of free content DLC support for an indie game. Finally, Shovel Knight by Yacht Club Games is perhaps the poster boy for this sort of support and free content updates. First released in 2014, 4 years ago for those of you who are counting, it garnered high praise for being such an honest tribute to the 8-bit era in gaming, drawing many parallels to Mega Man. The first year was mainly spent on bug fixing and adding more languages, but in September 2015, the Plague of Shadows DLC dropped, where you were able to play as Plague Knight, one of the bosses in the original Shovel Knight campaign. Plague Knight plays very differently due to the ability to fire projectiles, and this DLC came with a whole new campaign with new levels, new relics, systems, boss battles, story cutscenes, feats, and a challenge mode. In April 2017, the Spectre of Torment DLC dropped, where again, you are able to play as one of the original bosses, this time as Spectre Knight. With a scythe and a unique traversal mechanic, Spectre Knight's gameplay feels a lot smoother and faster, and this came with the new campaign, boss fights, and so on. Additionally, the developers have also added a new collectible called Curios, as well as cosmetic redesigns of characters and a co-op mode. This update rebranded the original game as Shovel Knight Shovel of Hope, and the entire package with all 3 campaigns was titled Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. And the best part about this is that all existing owners of the base game were automatically upgraded. The next update will be released in April next year and includes even more free DLC, starting with the King of Cards campaign, where you can play as King Knight, similar to the previous 2 add-on campaigns, but perhaps most interestingly, Shovel Knight Showdown is a 4-player platform fighter similar to Super Smash Bros, but featuring all your favorite Shovel Knight characters. Because of this, Shovel Knight deserves its pole position at the top of this list, since Yacht Club Games is continuing to add free content to the game 5 years after release. So what makes this the curious case of free content DLC for indie games? For all the controversy surrounding DLC, these are just some examples of fantastic indie games and developers who are simply the best, continuing to support their game and to give back to their players without having to resort to manipulative tactics and dishonest practices. Of course, there are differences between an independent game developer and a larger company, especially in terms of cost, and these examples that I have cited are indie games that have sold tremendously well, giving their developers the leeway to continue to do this. However, I believe that the reverse may be true, in that the starting point of all of this is that the core game must be great, thus it sells well, hence giving them the opportunity to do this, and the continued support then brings in even more sales. If you have just one takeaway from this video, the next time you are about to spend some money on loot boxes or a weapon skin, do consider supporting indie game developers instead due to their great support for their games. Anyway, that will do it for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, follow my Steam curator, and check out the subreddit to keep up with the best indie games, and I will see you in the next video.